man? Welcome back. It's your boy. Back in the business with another video. I'm eating right now. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? Soul food. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yeah, feed me. But we're gonna react to a video of a girl talking about why heaven is not like hell. Once again, I'm not Christian. I'm not picking at the Christians, but I'm doing this for my people on why black folks shouldn't be Christian. Personally, I believe that shit is dumb as hell. We should have our own philosophy more than a religion. You feel me? But we're gonna react to her and see how she, it's a white girl this time. It's her right here. The video loading. It's ready to go though. Just loading.
Charity.
I already watched a minute 30 seconds of it. But yeah, this your boy. Hold on, where I'm at. It's your boy. Big FGKOBI review back at this bitch. And let go. Little snow bunny. Let's watch it.
Hi guys, today I want to talk about how the Christian heaven sounds like a nightmare to me personally. There were even some thoughts I had when I was a Christian where I'm like, that doesn't sound like paradise to me. But obviously after leaving Christianity, I was able to examine it through a different lens. And it started to sound more and more nightmarish. On top of that, a lot of the details seemed surprising.
One of the first things she said, I was minute 30 seconds in, I seen it. One of the first things she said, internal worship. I gotta worship this bitch ass dude. Because I gotta worship this dude for the rest of my existence. I'm gonna fuck who God think he is, boy. You ain't getting that out of me. But let's get it on.
Earthly, like not really anything a god outside of time and space would create, but instead something a human would imagine. And if you wait until the end of this video, I have a little surprise at the end, just a fun little surprise, so stick around. But I have a list of about 6 things that I wanted to share. And there are more. There are more things that I could add, but I stuck to 6. Also, when it comes to this topic, on other platforms, I've described it as I feel like I would need a lobotomy if I were to be happy in the Christian heaven. And that's not even to be disrespectful or to mock. It's just that I don't feel like I could be fully self-aware or fully myself and consider something like the Christian heaven to be paradise. Okay, so reason number 1, the idea of eternal worship sounds miserable to me, and if I'm being honest, it sounds a little creepy as well. First off, I do not want to worship some deity for eternity.
Oh, hail the magic conch!
It genuinely sounds so incredibly miserable, boring, and exhausting that actually does sound like a nightmare to me.
It's not freedom.
Another thing I think about is, what is the point? What does anyone gain when it comes to worshiping a deity for eternity? The only thing I can think of is
it just benefit the deity more than anything. You worshiping you just benefiting the God more than anything, more than yourself. So stop falling for this shit.
That it constantly validates the specific deity and feeds his ego.
Yeah.
Nothing else really makes sense to me. It makes God look narcissistic and obsessed with validation and getting constant praise, which if you are a perfect God,
you don't need it.
Just not sure why you need that. I really don't know. You're telling me he created people to live a short amount of time, and sometimes the short amount of time is extremely hard and miserable for people. I would say maybe for most, especially if people, don't have the resources to live a healthy, happy life. So he creates those people, some of them suffer their whole lives, then they die, and then the whole point is they go to heaven and then worship him for eternity. And people expect me to believe that isn't egotistical. I don't think I could even come up with something more egotistical than that, than creating these beings that are so below you that are constantly giving you worship and validation for eternity. I can't think of something more egotistical than that. And I've heard a lot of Christians say that the worshiping is for you guys, not him, which never sounded like it made sense to me, and I don't think it does make sense, because before God created us, we didn't have any wants. Like, there was nothing we didn't have a want that God wanted to fulfill because we didn't exist. So to say that you're doing it for a being that doesn't exist and didn't have to exist doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We didn't have any once. We weren't existing to. We weren't conscious and having any once.
Watch the video.
And so people are always telling me that God doesn't actually need worship and we need worship. And it just never sounds coherent to me, if I'm being honest. And if they say something like it benefits us, it makes us whole and pure. Again, if he created us, we didn't need to worship because we didn't exist, therefore we had no needs, like what I said. So it just seems like heaven is built upon this authoritarian system, which would be like an authoritarian system by definition. It's very much it's very much plainly built on human concepts because of the imagery in heaven as well, when it comes to kind of the worship aspect, and like he's a king and he rules over everybody and you're his subjects and you just bow down to him all day. To me, that's a very like ancient times visual of what they would visualize as a heaven, and not how a god would actually create a heaven. Okay, this next one might sound silly to some, but it's actually one I think about pretty often, and it stood out to me when I was a Christian. The whole thing of streets being paved with gold. Why? I don't understand why that would matter in heaven. It's always been so strange to me, even as a Christian.
Ain't heaven in the cloud.
And I'm not even someone who really cares about stuff like gold. So why would I enjoy it in heaven? At the very least, or very most, I just care about my jewelry not tarnishing. I just don't care about stuff like that, or diamonds or anything. So it kind of like, to me, it's a very human concept. Because they're not really thinking, oh, what if someone doesn't even give a single crap about this like materialistic stuff? What if someone hates the color of gold? That's part of their personality, is hating this kind of look. But it's so contradictory to me, because we're always told that you shouldn't value earthly and materialistic things or riches. And the only reason that gold is valuable on Earth is because it's rare.
Yeah.
Like relatively rare. So why is it valuable in heaven?
I don't know what would make more of it if you want more.
Besides the fact that people might just view it in a materialistic kind of way, that's a symbol for status or whatever. It's very weird to me that we're being rewarded with materialistic objects. That messaging doesn't make a lot of sense if it's coming from a god who's beyond time and space. Again, to me, it seems like that's coming from a very human position of, that sounds good, who doesn't like gold? Like, who are we trying to impress with the paved roads with
worshippers.
gold? Who is this for exactly?
The worshippers.
And also I just kind of imagine it looking like Trump redecorating the White House with all of that gold that looks, in my opinion, very gaudy and tacky. To me, that's not the vision of paradise. That's not the vision of something so beautiful. It seems more, I don't know. It's like boring. Like, that's like earthly things. I just wouldn't care about that. And I need to put this disclaimer.
It's a typical thing. You would say, "Oh, gold, God, man, that's just, it's like she said, it's something a human would think about and put together and make it be like, okay, heaven got all this gold and stuff like that." I'm like, okay, man, it's typical. What's up with the God, nigga?
Because I know people will rush to my comments and be like, that's not what heaven really is. It depends on the Christian you ask. So if this isn't your interpretation of heaven, that's fine. Then I'm not talking about your version of heaven. But these are just different things I was told about heaven throughout my life. So if it doesn't apply to you, don't bother with it. But number 3 is one of those things where some Christians say this, some don't. I guess it's how you interpret things or what you've been told. Number 3.
Before she say that, the fact that you gotta interpret everything in the Bible, bro, you as a God, just be direct. What are you, weak? Why you gotta interpret everything? Just say what you want the people to believe or whatever. And the fact that people say you gotta interpret the Bible, that right there shows a flaw right there within the religion.
Some Christians say that you will not recognize your loved ones. I would say this was kind of the minority opinion. I would say this 3 Christians say this, some don't. I guess it's how you interpret things or what you've been told. Number 3 is some Christians say that you will not recognize your loved ones. I would say this was kind of the minority opinion for me growing up, although I went to a private Christian school, kindergarten through 6th grade, and this is something I was told by my teacher, and that we weren't going to recognize any of our loved ones.
How no? How?
And I don't know if they were really supposed to tell me that, like that was a school stance, or if that was just that teacher's stance. I really don't know. But I know that my family believed that you would recognize your loved ones after
why wouldn't you
go
recognize them?
to heaven. But this is just talking about
Isn't there a
if we
bunch of
wouldn't
unknown people? You
recognize
don't recognize
our loved ones
nobody.
once
Make
we
it
went
make
to heaven.
sense.
That idea is so silly to me.
Yeah,
well,
it is.
let's be honest. Like, I know we don't have proof for any of this, so you could say it's all silly, whatever. But it doesn't seem that in itself, I feel like wouldn't make. I feel like it would lose its appeal. Heaven would lose its appeal, is what I'm trying to say. And what? Because you wouldn't have any memories of your past loved ones or relationships. And are you even yourself? Because I feel like that takes away a big chunk of yourself if you're not able to recognize anybody who's ever been in your life. I think so often about how
make it make sense.
My relationships, whether it's platonic, romantic, my interactions, my peer, like all of these people I've worked with, whatever, all of these interactions have had a huge impact on who I am,
Facts.
How I think. I think that's the same for everybody.
Facts.
So it doesn't make sense to me that stuff would be gone and you would still be yourself. Something about that is not adding up. Also, why do you have to take that away from people? It makes me question if it's because God is so egotistical that he's like, don't be happy about anything else here. Only pay attention to me, is the vibe I'm getting from that. And yeah, I would argue if that were the case, you would be losing a giant chunk of yourself. Right. I don't even know if you would be yourself.
People bring out you.
And I feel like it destroys the
people you interact bring out you more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a Christian, but the fact that you wouldn't recognize nobody as soon as you get to heaven, then what the fuck? I don't want to go. Like a bunch of unknown, hundreds of millions of people in heaven. I reckon millions of people. You don't know not one of them. Everybody just know this one dude, the God. Yeah, that nigga, come on, man. Worship him and fuck everybody else. They just here just to be here because he want them here. Make it make sense.
One attractive thing about heaven to me, there's honestly not a lot that heaven offers to me that I feel that is like so great. The only thing that I do wish is to see loved ones again. And I'm not saying I know what I would want that to look like or how long that would last, whatever. But that was the one thing to me that was super appealing because, I don't know, I've had people in my life die early. I had somebody I was close to in high school die early at 17. My dad died when I was like 21. Things like that.
My dad died. I was 16 when he passed.
So badly when I was a Christian. That's one thing that really like kept me going, was this idea that I would see them again. And if you remove this whole thing of you are not going to be reunited with loved ones, and instead you're just going to forget who they are.
What's the point of
I don't want to go there.
What's the point of having relationships if you just going to forget them all when you go to heaven? What's the point of having a relationship, a loved one, children, grandmas, grandpas, fathers, mothers, friends, acquaintances, business friends? What's the point of having any of these going to church, your local church? Everybody in church know each other, but as soon as we go to heaven, all of y'all gonna be unknown. What's the point of having all these relationships that just gonna all throw it away because God just gonna throw it away? What's the point?
Why would I want to go there? Like, what? That sounds... what is the point? I just don't understand what the point is, if that's the case. And it's also a very depressing thought that God would wipe our minds of our loved ones. I think I would rather just not exist anymore, if I'm being honest.
That's a very
but I'm guessing some people believe this,
to do is just
that you don't remember your loved ones.
You ever met.
They say you won't remember your loved ones because it kind of takes away the question of, well, what about your loved ones that are burning in hell? And I think this cleans that up nicely. It's like, well, you're not going to remember anybody, so you're not going to care if your dad, your husband, your child is burning in hell, because we're not going to remember anyone. As if that makes it feel better. It doesn't to me. Because obviously that's going to be a little disturbing if you're chilling up in heaven and you know your son, daughter, mother, whatever's burning in hell. Yeah, that's probably going to bother some people if they still have their memories with those people and care about them. So to me,
some earbuds,
I feel like maybe that is a reason people have that little detail, is because it makes that easier, but who knows? Okay, this goes back to the material stuff. Why do we have mansions? Again, I think this depends on the Christian you ask, but all Christians I knew growing up, I think, believed this. I didn't hear anything to the contrary, but when I was looking it up, and obviously not all Christians believe this. I mean, I feel like there's rarely stuff about Christianity that all Christians agree on in the first place, so that's not shocking to me. But aren't we spirits? Aren't we not in our earthly bodies anymore? The whole reason we have houses is to protect us from the elements. The whole reason we need shelter is to protect us from the elements, and it makes living more comfortable, right? Or literally allows us to keep living if the elements are too harsh. Why would we need shelter in heaven exactly? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And there are a lot of people who also say the mansion thing isn't literal. It's more like a room or a dwelling place. Why would we need that either? Why would spirits need a room or anything either, or a designated spot? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me why we would need that. But back to the mansions, seems very materialistic. And on top of that, what's in the mansion?
Huh? Okay, what's going on here? Why is everything chrome?
What do you need in the mansion? Do you need decorations? Who's that for? Do you need a bathroom? Do you need a kitchen? Do you need a bedroom for a bed where your spirit sleeps? What's in the mansions? I don't know what you would even put in the mansions. To me, this is just very like a basic human being, like, people love mansions. So if someone wants to live in paradise, give them a mansion, because that's what people like. People like to have big mansions. Like, that to me, that's just such a human thing and not something an all-powerful God would create, because it's just, to me, it seems so limited and materialistic and so earthly. Why is that in heaven? I've heard people say this before, and people have mentioned the fact that, and this is, I'm sure, obvious to most, but that throughout the years people have done this. They've convinced, especially like poorer people, that they don't have to worry about gaining riches, or they don't have to care about being poor, or they don't have to care about like people hoarding wealth, because, you know, we promise that when you die, you will get a mansion.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Bible, the book itself, he didn't want all that. In the book itself, he didn't like rich people. He said the poor I always gonna have a way into heaven, and rich, you ain't gonna make it. So the fact y'all talking about pay for goals, having mansions in heaven, like, dude didn't even walk around preaching all that. So where is these ideas coming from? Because in the book, he didn't say nothing about this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, bro, where is these ideas coming from?
You will get gold. You will get everything you want. All the materialistic stuff that you missed out on in this life, we got you after you die. And I feel like that gives them, like, they're like shoving a binky in your mouth and being like, shh, you'll get it later. Don't worry about it. It's really messed up. I really feel like that's maybe a big reason why people push that kind of thing, is to get people to shut up and be satisfied with less in this world. And not question things like resources or whatever it might be. Hey guys, don't worry about us hoarding all the wealth. You will get it later. Do I have evidence of this? No. Do I have proof of this? No. But trust me, bro. Just trust me. You'll get it later. Okay, number 5 is living for eternity. Now, to me, this sounds very exhausting.
That's torture.
I know some people like this idea, but for me, as a full-grown adult now, it sounds very unappealing to me. I think people are also more likely to find this exhausting, or the idea of it to be uncomfortable, especially if you're someone who has struggled emotionally, mentally, those kind of things, where you're like, the idea of being in my own brain for eternity sounds exhausting. And this is coming from somebody who has struggled with mental illness my entire life, like severe depression. And I know some people could say, I know the Christian argument could be like, well, all of that is taken away in heaven.
But I'm just fucking with you.
But if you take away every single thing that has caused you pain or struggle or whatever, are you still continuing to be yourself? What parts of yourself still remain? What
I'm be
parts
posting a
disappear?
lot more.
And I'm not saying people
Ooh.
are their mental illness, obviously, but it does shape who we are as human beings. So it makes me question a lot of that. Like, what are you removing when you remove that? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you remove my view on certain things, or what is happening there? But my main point is, for those who have suffered, and I think probably especially like emotionally and mentally, the idea again of existing forever in your own brain is
It's torture.
exhausting,
I always
right?
thought that
And
was
I'm fully
torture,
aware
living
that Christians
forever.
could try and use that against me and
Sound
be like,
good
that's
at
why
first,
she's
and you
atheist, is because
realize
she's mentally
what's to
ill.
live for. Like, you damn
But
near do everything, and once you did everything,
yeah,
you're okay.
unfortunately for you, I was also mentally ill when I was Christian, like my whole life, so there wasn't much of a change there. It has gotten a lot better in the past couple years, but I can't really say if that's due to atheism or if that's due to me coming into myself. It's hard to say. Anyways, that's a little side tangent. Yeah, the idea of existing for eternity doesn't sound good to me, but what I will say is I consider myself a nihilist, and you know, I struggle with nihilism sometimes. I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm super at peace with it. Sometimes I'm like sweating bullets and like it makes me spiral. But I'm not a nihilist because it sounds good. I'm a nihilist because I don't think we have proof for anything else. I'm just not going to assume there's anything after this. To me, it's the most logical to just be like, we don't have proof for anything else. So I'm just going to assume that we cease to exist. But if I'm being honest, living for eternity.
For me, me with Soul Line, I just say we go with our ancestors. I always talk to the ancestors, the people who actually been here. You got real proof of them being here, and I just go with the ancestors, and the ancestors go guide you and help you throughout life. And the people you meet, real too, and you yourself. That's how I view it. You know what I'm saying? The ancestors. I always love your ancestors.
And not existing anymore, they sound about equally as scary to me. Again, it's just like the one I think is more likely, and I would rather no longer exist than be in the like Christian description of heaven though. Even though again, the thought of existing and not existing scare me about the same. Also, side note, I don't talk about nihilism a lot because I find myself, if I'm being honest, I find myself getting frustrated because when I view nihilism, I don't view it as positive or negative. I just view it as neutral. Like, that's it. I know people put their own emotions on it, but yeah, I just don't view it as positive or negative. And a lot of people, when I talk about this, who are in the deconstruction space or ex-Christians or whatever, they're like, why don't you just become like absurdist? Why don't you just join absurdism, which is basically saying, you know, I don't think anything has inherent meaning, so I'm just gonna live
Things
this
do
life to
got
the
me.
fullest or whatever, and like have the best time I can, whatever, you know, that kind of definition.
Yeah.
I get frustrated when people say that because I can't decide that on a whim.
Trying to
I can't
force
just
you
be
in the
like,
box.
yeah, I'm gonna make the
So they
best
can
out of it now
understand.
and like not care about like that's not how my brain works. I try to do that, but again, that's me just existing in nihilism where I'm just very realistic about it. It like comes and goes in waves. It's not this straightforward thing. And especially if you're someone who does struggle with stuff, like it could be anything. Again, physically, mentally, emotionally, and someone just tells you, "Why aren't you just an absurdist?" It's like, I don't know, maybe because I can't just force my brain to do that, you know? And like again, I'm going to try and I know people are good intentioned when they say that to me, but it just I don't know. There's something about that that frustrates me because like I said, I don't think nihilism is positive or negative,
I'm
and
waiting though. I ain't
I
rushing.
don't really like when people always say
Doing
it's a
good.
negative thing because it's not. It's just how you feel about it. And then number 2, again, I can't just choose on a whim to be like, "Yep, I'm only going to be an absurdist now." Like I don't think that's how it works personally. Um but honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with nihilism being a journey. I'm okay with it being positive some days, negative other days, and I've always been very honest about that because again, I do feel like I'm a pretty realistic person and I don't need to fake anything. if I'm being honest. I don't feel like I need to fake anything. Like, I'm so happy that nihilism is what's going to happen. I don't always feel that way. Like I said, I don't want to go the Christian description of heaven either, but
I
sometimes the
just
idea
ate
of
for
not existing
food.
anymore freaks me out. And I think that's normal. Also, like the dying process. I'm obviously going to be freaked out by that. And that's also normal. Also, sometimes I get extreme FOMO because I want to know what happens. I want to know how we progress as a society or don't progress. I want to know what happens when the sun finally swallows us up. I want to know if we make it to a different planet or what happens. So sometimes I get extreme FOMO and I don't like that either. But, anyways, okay. So, my last one, number 6, is I couldn't enjoy heaven if I still had empathy and compassion for others. This one got me in trouble on a different
Ooh.
platform earlier this week. It always does when I talk about this. I actually had somebody comment on my video and was like, I have never heard anybody complain about the Christian heaven. Why would you even complain about it? I guess I'm special. I have some complaints. I'm sure a lot of people do, but
She's free minded.
I think people just describe it as paradise and expect you to be like, okay, and shut up about it. But I think the details and stuff are important because what is paradise to one person could be a living hell to another, and I don't feel like that is taken into account ever. But I think this is something that Christianity consistently begs you to ignore, and I think that is because it's an uncomfortable and hard thing for many people to talk about. I know when I was a Christian, I didn't want to think about this. I didn't want to think about how I would feel about being in heaven and having a great old time in paradise while billions of people are burning in hell for all of eternity. And then on top of that, I'm worshiping the being who created that system.
Exactly.
I don't want anybody in the comments to tell me that he didn't create the system.
He did.
According to Christianity, no one else is responsible for creating the system. Nobody. There's no third party involved. Like, he decided, you know.
I always would say, and Christian, I'm not Christian, but in their faith, God worked with the devil. They work together. Like, I always thought, like, if God go to hell right now, what demon can harm him? Oh, no one demon can harm him. No demon can harm God. So he keep them alive. He let them do what they do. God know everything. So when the demon go leave and possess somebody, he know what's going on. He let them do what they do. So that's what I always say, bro. Dude, this shit's corny to me. It's lame to me.
Depending on what you believe in me, whatever, listen to what I say, or burn in hell forever. He decided those were the two options. So yeah, he did do it. And then I always get a lot of people telling me, well, God originally made hell for demons and Satan. No, he didn't. If you're an all-knowing being, there's no like I originally made it for this purpose. If you're all-knowing, you know exactly what you were
do all-knowing.
using it for. So that doesn't make sense to me either.
She killing it.
But I also am not claiming I'm this empath and I'm so special because I have empathy.
How long this video got?
I think that most people have empathy, and I think this would be a problem with most people who care about other people, which is a common thing for people to care about other people.
6, but she might have, like,
this isn't a special trait for me. This is very common, basic human trait. I wouldn't be able to enjoy the Christian heaven knowing people I love and care about are burning in hell for eternity, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy heaven even if it was people I didn't know. That's highly disturbing. Like, it doesn't really matter if I love or care about them or not, but if I did it, it would make it worse, I'm sure. It's a highly disturbing concept, and it wouldn't be something I could just let go of and be like, oh, well, time to go enjoy paradise. And I don't think my humanity would allow it, which begs the question, does God take away my empathy and compassion for these people? For me, that's really the only way around it. And to me, that sounds like a lobotomy for me to essentially enjoy paradise.
Hush. It's okay. I'm better now.
I don't understand.
Love does things to a person. Terrible things.
Damn.
Would God just be taking away my empathy and compassion? And if he does, again, how much of me is there left? If you take away someone's empathy and compassion, how much of themselves is left? If that was a big part of who they were or things they cared about, I feel like it wouldn't be them anymore. I feel like it would be the equivalent to a lobotomy. And that's why I say this. Some people have said to me, you'll just realize that it's justice. And to be honest, besides the fact that it is the actual opposite of justice, I still, even if I I think even if I saw it as justice, I would still be sad and empathetic towards those people burning for eternity, because how could I not? Just because something like, okay, so think about it in this scenario, like a mom, her daughter or son commits a murder. They could recognize that them going to jail for the rest of their lives is justice. Again, I don't think the hell is just at all, but yeah, we're talking about this as if it is. They could think that's just that they're getting that punishment, but they could also feel empathy and sadness for them because they love and care about them and they know that they're suffering for their actions. So that doesn't take away the feeling of sadness and empathy for the people being punished or whatever. And okay, so I made a decent amount of these videos before talking about this specific thing about what I don't like about heaven. And a couple times it's went viral, and I've gotten some pretty disturbing comments. If I'm being honest, there will be people who will say things like, for example, this one I kind of remember vividly. This one was like, well, my daughter's not going to heaven, but, you know, that's what she chose.
She didn't choose it. God picked. Oh, well, you can't pick, though.
I cannot imagine saying that. I can't imagine saying that. Like, oh, you know, yeah, my little sister, you know, she's gonna burn in hell, but that was her choice. She chose not to believe something, so she gets to burn it. Like, it's just it's so void of any empathy. And I think a lot of this stuff, I think a lot of these teachings gets people to ignore a lot of empathy and ignore compassion and stuff like this. And again, I think that's why they're doing, a lot of evangelicals are doing the sin of empathy now. And so yeah, it's that is extremely hurtful. That's so hurtful.
That's the video. It's your boy, Big as you could the greatest. Be back with another video. I'm gonna do better, learn this YouTube shit more. But that's the video. This your boy, Big as you could the greatest. I'm out. Be back with another video soon. And yeah, check me out every time, everywhere. Check a nigga out.